Paramount Parks didn't have a long run in America, but their legacy remains and will be present for decades to come. They acquired the King's Entertainment Company in 1992, along with their 5 American parks, trying to replicate Disney and Universal, promoting their properties within their theme parks. The experiment lasted through 2006, when these parks were all sold off to Cedar Fair. If you want a detailed rundown of Paramount Parks, check out the mini-doc I made last year. That link is down below. This video is not about the how and why, it's about the what. What did Paramount add to these parks over the 13-year run? Let's take a look at their strikeouts, the middle or vanilla tier, and their home runs. These are the coasters of Paramount Parks, ranked from worst to best. By my count, Paramount added 31 coasters over its 13-year tenure. That's a little less than 2.5 per year on average. It's not as crazy as Six Flags and Cedar Fair during that time, but that may be a good thing. Of those 31, 8 were kiddie coasters, so we're not going to talk much about those. I do want to highlight one model that Paramount seemed fond of, a model I would put on their strikeout list, and that's the Vekoma Family Suspended Coaster. They put 3 of these in: Silver Streak at Canada's Wonderland, and Rugrats Runaway Reptar at Kings Island and Carowinds, now known as Flying Ace Aerial Chase and Kitty Hawk. These are terrible family rides because they bang your head around, and I'm sorry to say, they all still exist today, all with the same terrible shoulder restraints. The new Vekoma Family Suspended Coasters all have lap bars, and it would be nice for Cedar Fair to upgrade their trains if they plan to keep these around. Number 16. Tomb Raider the Ride at Canada's Wonderland, now known as Time Warp. This is a miserable experience, a terrible model made worse by terrible cars. This was Zamperla's attempt at a flying coaster, and the whole ride is head pain. It's one of the worst coasters of all time, and it's hard to believe it's still around and nearing the end of its 2nd decade of service. Number 15. Son of Beast at Kings Island. I give credit to Paramount for being ambitious, but I blame them for cheaping out in their choice of manufacturer. While everyone around them was going big for the year 2000, especially their in-state rival Cedar Point with Millennium Force, Paramount was going to blow everyone away with the world's first wooden hypercoaster, and the first modern one with a vertical loop. The Roller Coaster Corporation of America, or RCCA, got the contract, and they were fired before the ride was even done. To make matters worse, before the ride was even 6 months old, Paramount took them to court. Son of Beast was boring, rough, and even turned out to be dangerous with a major incident in 2006, and other reports of injuries sustained in its final year of 2009. This was a huge strikeout for Paramount, and Cedar Fair couldn't scrap this thing fast enough. Number 14. Hurler at King's Dominion and Carowinds. One of Paramount's earliest projects was to add Wayne's World lands to 2 of their parks, making good on promoting one of their most popular brands. These were some of the few coasters ever themed of vomiting, playing off a tagline from the Wayne's World movies.
I'll probably end up working at Great America, mopping up hurl and lung butter. Sure.
But there's no way these could even come close to making anyone sick. Paramount again went with an odd manufacturer, International Coasters Incorporated, and these were their only 2 coasters. Hurler was a triple out-and-back wooden coaster with drawn-out turns and very shallow airtime hills with absolutely no airtime. King's Dominion's Hurler closed in 2015, and RMC came in and did a masterful job turning it into a hybrid coaster, now known as Twisted Timbers. Carowinds hasn't been so lucky. This thing still stands today, and it's so disappointing every time I've gotten to ride it. This can't be around too much longer. Either scrap it or RMC it. Number 13. Top Gun at Canada's Wonderland, now known as Flight Deck. Throughout the mid-90s into the mid-2000s, Paramount only added 1 Vekoma SLC, but too bad for them, it appears to be one of the worst. It's hard for me to judge because I only rode this once and it was in the front row, so I feel like maybe I spared myself. Based on its reputation, it's one of the worst coasters of all time, but my front row ride was just okay. Not good, but not bad. Putting this right next to Time Warp creates a vortex of suck. That's vortex of suck, not that vortex sucks. It's actually one of the better rides in the park. But with these 2 coasters, Paramount really did Canada's Wonderland wrong. This is the last of Paramount's strikeouts. Let's look at that vanilla middle tier. Number 12. Flying Super Saturator at Carowinds. You want a gimmicky coaster? Check out these suspended water coasters from Setpoint. Only a few were sold, and you may recognize the same model as Roller Soaker at Hershey Park. Paramount added this in 2000, and riders basically wander around 1,000 feet of track and get blasted by water from the ground. These didn't have great longevity, and they were high maintenance. But for 9 years, Carowinds had an interesting family coaster where people could cool off. And when it's not pouring rain in Charlotte, which it always is, it gets really hot, as I found out in 2021, and this is a good option to get wet. Number 11. The Mock Rides Wild Mice. Fly at Canada's Wonderland, and Ricochet at Carowinds and King's Dominion, now known as Apple's Apple. Here are 3 family-oriented coasters that are all still operating today, and although they're not all the same, I'm putting them all together. Apple's Apple and Fly are the large park model, so they have the big drop off the lift hill. Ricochet is the compact park model, so it dips right into the switchbacks. These are Wild Mouse coasters. What else can I say? The Mock Rides ones don't seem to run as fast as the mice from other manufacturers, so they're not my favorite, but they're a solid option for people not looking for a huge thrill. Number 10. Psycho Mouse at Great America. Where Mock Rides comes up short with our Wild Mouse model, Aero actually did it pretty well. Those mocks are slow around the turns and ease into the drops, but the Aeros fly around the turns and take the drops with a head of steam. Psycho Mouse has really good forces, and it holds up as a fun ride for everyone, not just for families. Just watch out for that line. The capacity on this thing is horrible. Number 9. Italian Job Stunt Track and Turbo Coaster at Kings Island, Canada's Wonderland, and Kings Dominion, all now known as Backlot Stunt Coaster. One of Paramount's final moves was to flood their parks with Premier Rides launch coasters, all themed to the 2003 Italian Job movie. These are borderline family coasters, maybe a little too intense to be considered a true family coaster, but definitely not a thrill coaster. The 40-mile-per-hour launch sends you right into an upward helix, and that makes me gray out every time. From there, you have dips, turns, and special effects, as well as an indoor section. It's a nice ride to round out a coaster collection, even if it's not going to be the star. Number 8. Invertigo at Great America and Face Off at Kings Island, now known as Invertigo. The movie Face Off came out in 1997, but Paramount passed on giving that name to their coaster at Great America in 1998, then went with it for Kings Island in 1999. I don't know why. With seats that face each other, the theming is too in-your-face to ignore. Anyway, these Vekoma inverted boomerangs are pretty good rides. They may draw some big lines, mainly due to bad capacity, but they're just meant to be filler coasters. Great America got rid of theirs in 2010 and sent it to Dorney Park, where it's since been removed also. Kings Islands is still going strong more than 20 years later, and it's still fun, even if it gets forgotten about. Number 7. Outer Limits Flight of Fear at Kings Island and Kings Dominion, now known as Flight of Fear. Before Backlot Stunt Coaster, Paramount did work with the brand new Premier Ride to get the first ever LIM launch coaster. This is of the indoor variety, but with 4 inversions, and themed to the TV series, The Outer Limits. You hit a top speed of 54 miles per hour on that launch track, and then you twist into a spaghetti bowl layout, not being able to see a thing. I'm not a big fan of these, but they are legit thrill rides, so I'll give them their due. This is the last of the vanilla tier. I think they hit a home run with the last 6 coasters on this list. Number 6. Top Gun at Kings Island, now known as the Bat. In 1993, Paramount immediately got the ball rolling with their investments. They opened a few rides themed to the uber-popular Top Gun movie from 1986. Paramount acquired Vortex at Canada's Wonderland, and they wanted something just like that at Kings Island. This may be short, but when it comes to suspended coasters, this is about as extreme as it gets in North America. This flies around its course out in the trees, secluded from the rest of the park, and when I came to the park in 2002, Top Gun was my favorite coaster there. The name was eventually changed to the Bat, paying homage to the park's original suspended coaster, the one that only lasted 3 seasons back in the 1980s. It may be hard to walk to, but it's a rush. Number 5. Top Gun at Great America, now known as Flight Deck. Right after B&M opened their first inverted coaster, Batman the Ride at Six Flags Great America, Paramount wanted one for themselves. The lucky winner was Great America in California, getting a short but sweet custom model, featuring 3 inversions and a helix over the lake, one of the most iconic finales of any coaster. This is really intense, and still holds up as a great ride to this day, though like I said, it's one of B&M's shortest coasters. Number 4. Stealth at Great America. The same year Paramount took a chance with Son of Beast, they made another huge gamble on the West Coast. This was Vekoma's first Flying Dutchman, and the first true large-scale flying coaster ever built. It was a maintenance nightmare, and it only lasted 4 seasons at the park. Paramount took it out and decided it would be better off at Carowinds, a park that, back then, didn't draw as many people. You could consider this a failure for Paramount, but the unique ride experience of being on your back and your stomach the whole time, plus the fact that it's still operating at Carowinds to this day, I consider it a success overall. Number 3. Hypersonic XLC at Kings Dominion. Paramount was really trying to keep up with the other parks and chains from 1998 to 2001, and the year after Son of Beast and Stealth opened, Kings Dominion was the lucky winner of the world's first compressed air launch coaster. This thing had an epic launch, 0 to 80 in 1.8 seconds. Then it flew up and over a 165-foot top hat before twisting back to the station. It was a short, simple ride, but the power of the launch, plus the airtime over the vertical top hat was reason enough to ride it. I missed this coaster by 1 year. I was there in 2008, and this was taken out in 2007. It was a prototype, and the maintenance issues were too much of a burden, and Cedar Fair was quick to pull the plug once they took over. Number 2. Volcano the Blast Coaster at Kings Dominion. Paramount was all about getting the world's first. They had just opened the first LIM coasters 2 years earlier with Outer Limits Flight of Fear, and now they looked to a different manufacturer, Intamin, to flip the track over and launch something underneath it. Volcano was ambitious for this reason alone, not to mention its setting inside a man-made mountain. Paramount really dreamed big for some of these projects, and other than maybe Son of Beast, it didn't get much bigger than this. 70 mile per hour top speed, launched out of the top of the volcano, and 3 other inversions around it. This ride was hugely popular for 20 years, and then it fell into disrepair and the park was forced to scrap it. Volcano remains one of the all-time most beloved defunct coasters. Number 1. Top Gun the Jet Coaster at Carowinds, now known as Afterburn. With all the wild ideas Paramount had, it all comes down to one of their safest picks for number 1. They wanted to name this after Godzilla, which I think would have been awesome, but that movie tanked, so they went back to the good old reliable Top Gun, joining 3 other coasters in the chain. Standing 113 feet tall and having almost 3,000 feet of track, this runs a little short for a major invert, but it's super intense and those 6 inversions are awesome. Afterburn is one of America's standout inverted coasters 22 years later, and it shows no sign of being removed anytime soon. This was Paramount's biggest home run in my opinion. So there you have it. The coasters Paramount added between 1993 and 2006 ranked up. They had a really good variety, and they really took advantage of the innovations of their era, right in the heart of the coaster war. The one thing they're missing is a true hypercoaster. These really took off between 93 and 06, coming from Arrow, Morgan, Intamin, and B&M, but Paramount stayed away. I really wonder if there's a good reason for that. Let me know what you think of this list, and what your favorite Paramount coaster is or was. Sound off in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like. That's the best way to show your support for the channel. And if you're new here and love coasters, be sure to sub for more content just like this. Also, check out my links below for my Discord server, where you can chat with other fans of the channel, and my second channel, where I post copyright-free off-ride footage. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.